you mentioned then, the business that you've now got, Workplace Transformers. You mentioned having access to strategic-based conversations for small and medium businesses. Talk me through what the goal is with the business. Talk me through what the mission is with Workplace Transformers.
Yeah, we've recognized a macro movement with AI. Everyone is using ChatGPT. Everyone is using Gemini. Everyone is getting into Claude these days.
Yeah.
And access to information is becoming quite equitable. People are even having personal conversations and using these.
Which can get scary. I watched a TV program last night about it. Oh my God. Anyway, different conversation.
There are risks involved of doing that, but at least the word prediction is there to be able to guide you. So I think that macro movement is kind of creating a sense amongst all our minds that I can get that information from XYZ channel, and I can even cross-check the information from these AI tools. So what we really wanted to do was to deliver a solution where over the last 2 decades, we've collected reams and reams of data.
Yeah.
So how could we train systems initially to pass efficiencies to our clients who we are working with, who are paying for our services? So we started experimenting with that initially. It was, again, an experimentation in a small business where we had the permission to do so. Because we were the one permitting ourselves to
I'll
test
do it.
And fail at
Make it break.
Exactly. And once we did that, I think our overall goal was how do we pass all the intelligence available within the world of workplace strategy to kind of create a tool that could pretty much replace someone like me.
Yeah.
And that is very feasible in the world we live today.
Yeah.
That's how we started. And as a result of that, what it became was an augmentator of basically what the relationship between us and the client was. It was telling us how it's cross-connecting data points, how it's processing large data sets in the shortest period of time available.
Yeah.
And more importantly, how it was even covering our own blind spots or clients' blind spots. So they were efficiency gains as much as they were a lot of effectiveness gains in terms of covering key points.
Yeah.
As a result of all of that, we managed to deliver a lot of projects 5 times faster, and I would say about 50% cheaper. And we passed those savings on to those clients.
Yeah.
That's how we started. And we are still on that journey. Now our next target is to begin to offer that to the wider market. So it becomes equitable.
Yeah.
And it could be used by a client who has never heard about workplace strategy as much as it can be used by known workplace strategists, so they can make use of it and spend more time on strategic thinking, spend more time engaging with their clients.
Yeah.
So our goal has been to deliver that, not to replace anyone, but to make things faster, make things more equitable, make things more democratic. That's what we've been on.
I still am a bit of a layman to AI. I use Claude and ChatGPT and all the rest of it, as most consumers do. You're obviously using it to build a business, right? Is there a risk here of, you mentioned you're not replacing anyone and all that kind of stuff, but is there a risk here of almost resting on your laurels, I think? And, you know, in the past, you would personally go and collect this data. You would personally have an interpretation of what the data meant. Now you're relying on a computer to do it. But is there a risk of the wrong information and that not being cross-checked by somebody? Fact-checked is probably the words I'm trying to find. What's the risk with that, if any?
Yeah, you would always use the underlying data set from the office or the workplace you're working on. So, for example, now you have the opportunity to process weeks and weeks of sensor-based data rather than just an old way of looking at a 2-week utilization study.
Yeah.
So I think the data source is still coming from the client or the organization you're working with.
Gotcha.
So you've got to make sure that it's done correctly. It's the right data. But the benefit of this approach is that you could process larger data sets, which can actually give you much more efficacy with regards to your recommendation than the old school way of doing it over a 2-week period, which the users were still arguing that perhaps there was a company conference going on, or people were sick, or it was a half-term week, which we avoid normally anyways, but still it gave an opportunity for users to question that data set. So there are more advantages, I would say. Definitely, I would warn against doing that on generic AI tools. I think there's a lot of shadow usage of large language models right now, and there is a huge safety risk in terms of doing that because you don't know what data could leak. That's why we started to work on a system that is enterprise grade and can protect, and there's no learning from any of the data sets at all.
It's just taking the source and taking the learning from the actual source.
Absolutely. And the biggest difference was indexing that data. So the 2 decades of data sets we've been building allow us to cross-compare a client's data set across their sector, across their geography, to say how do they deviate against what we've been doing. But now we are able to do that at a much faster pace.
Right.
And the capability of the system is such that you could start translating them into, say, space calculation scenarios, which directly affect cost scenarios.
Yeah.
So now you could sit in front of a client to make decisions on how does the bottom line get impacted on their decision of, oh, I want my people back full time versus I might roll out a 3-day hybrid. What is the impact on cost? What is the impact on even morale if there's engagement data? What is the impact on bottom line?
And so you can literally plug in the strategies, the various strategies available, and within a few minutes or whatever it is, see the bottom line impact of working from home, hybrid, everyone back to the office, like whatever strategy is that you can see the bottom line result in that.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and this does not replace any kind of human engagement. What it does is it gives everybody more strategic thinking time. So I don't call it job replacement. I call it task replacement.
Right.
And by doing tasks much faster, which has happened historically.
But people will take the piss out of that though, won't they? You know what business owners can be like. People, you call it task related, but people will go, well, hold on a second. Now that Jerry over there is not doing that task anymore, I can save on that. Because, that's, people will.
We are seeing slightly different to that. We are seeing a pattern where a team of 5 using this is performing at the rate of a team of 10.
Right.
So that's what we are seeing.
So you get more output as opposed to, I get you.
And we are seeing people who are saving time now, basically innovating on top of this to make the industry better, to make their work better. So it's not that because time is saved, let's chop that element off. It's more that we have these people, we have that capability. Now we've made them much faster.
Yeah.
We've made them much more efficient. How can we deploy the time to push more innovation from our end